Today, we will talk about the greenhouse effect. When hearing the expression climate change, have you ever asked yourself what actually changes the climate of our planet? Well, today we are going to help you understand by explaining what is the greenhouse effect. This process takes place on Earth and plays a role in the acceleration of climate change, which equals to changes in temperatures and weather conditions on the planet. To begin, let's start with discussing the atmosphere, the thin layer of gases over the surface of the Earth. As you can see, the atmosphere is composed of multiple layers of different gases, and they all serve as a protection from UV rays coming from the sun. They also contribute to the stabilization of temperatures on Earth to a point where it is possible for humans, animals, and plants to exist and thrive. All day long, a part of the sun's UV rays crosses the atmosphere, warms the surface of the Earth, and gives us light. Rays and heat from the sun are absorbed by the surface of the Earth during the day, and at night, they go back out through the atmosphere as infrared radiations. Just as the atmosphere's gases block some sun rays from getting inside, to us, they also stop a certain amount of infrared radiation from getting out and into space. Those gases are a bit like police officers, allowing, or not, Earth's heat to escape to space. We call those gases the greenhouse gases because, like a greenhouse where we can grow plants, they trap heat inside. Here, the greenhouse really is our atmosphere. There are many greenhouse gases, and some of them are better at keeping heat in, or are better police officers, making sure the heat doesn't escape. CO2, also called carbon dioxide, and methane are examples of powerful greenhouse gases, more effective than nitrogen or oxygen at keeping in the heat. As quantities of CO2 in the atmosphere get bigger compared to other gases, more and more heat is trapped inside the planet. This causes a rise in the global temperatures on Earth. That is why we talk about global warming. Let's try to visualize the greenhouse effect with a little experiment. To carry out the experiment, you will need baking soda, vinegar, ice cubes, 3 clear glasses or containers, a match, plastic film or 2 lids, and a lamp. Do not try this experiment on your own. Ask for the help of an adult before you get into it. First of all, we need 2 glasses filled with the same amount of water. We add 1 ice cube of the same size in each glass. The empty space between the water and the rim of the glass represents the atmosphere, which, as we recall, is the layer of gases wrapped around the planet. Now, we need the 3rd glass, in which we mix baking soda and vinegar. The combination of these 2 ingredients will create CO2. Now, we get to the delicate part. We'll pour the CO2 in one of the 2 first glasses containing water and an ice cube. As you can see, our scientist slowly tilts the glass to make sure that only the gas is going into the other glass. It is very important that the mix of baking soda and vinegar does not pour from one glass to the other. The atmosphere in the glass now contains more CO2 than in the other. The following step is the reason why you need an adult's supervision, because we need to light a match. It will allow us to increase the temperature of both glasses containing an ice cube. The final step is to cover both glasses with a plastic film or a lid to trap the heat. In your opinion, which ice cube will melt faster? The one in the glass with more CO2 or the one with less? It's the ice cube from the glass with more carbon dioxide that melted faster, because, as we said earlier, the more CO2 there is in the atmosphere, the more heat will be kept inside the container. So, in the glass containing less CO2, heat could escape faster, keeping the atmosphere at a colder temperature. Now that you understand what the greenhouse effect is and how it works, what does it have to do with climate change? There are natural cycles on Earth that modify the gaseous composition of our atmosphere on a long period of time. For example, CO2 concentration levels can rise or decrease over the years. If we went back a million years, we would find that the atmosphere and its components levels were completely different from what they are today. Activities on the surface of the Earth have an impact on the gases we find in the air we breathe, while also creating different types of gases that are released in the atmosphere. For example, carbon that is naturally stored in plants, soil, coal, petroleum, or rocks and minerals can transform into CO2 when they meet the oxygen in the air. If you look at the screen, you will see orange carbon molecules contained in different things and blue oxygen molecules found in the air. When the two meet, they change into CO2. CO2 is released in the atmosphere in huge quantities when we burn coal or petroleum to produce energy. For example, when we drive our cars, the gas made from the petroleum that powers the motor releases CO2 in our atmosphere. The increase of activities that release CO2 is one of the reasons why we have a lot more CO2 in our atmosphere now than we ever had in the past 50 years. This additional CO2 causes a rise in the global temperatures on Earth. This leads to changes in weather conditions and problems such as flooding, droughts, and storms that were not as frequent in the past. The good news is that we have means to reduce our CO2 emissions every day. For example, you can bike to your friend's house instead of asking your parents to give you a ride with their car. You could also encourage your parents to buy locally produced food instead of food that traveled the world to get to your plate. There are also ways for you to reduce your energy consumption at home by turning off the lights when leaving a room or turning off the TV when you are done watching it. These are just a few examples of the things you can do. Do you have a better understanding of the greenhouse effect now? Have you thought of new ways to reduce your own carbon emissions? If so, you can click on the like button at the bottom of this video. You can also try out the Climate Change and Me quiz on our website to challenge yourself on what you have learned today and try a surprising experience at home. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon in another episode of Climate Change and Me.